7 stories, 7 minutes, everyone's worth repeating. Live on TPR.
You know, tonight's theme is about something that things have been stolen from us. Has anything ever been stolen from you? Have you stolen anything before?
Oh my God, I was such a thief growing up, like, because I was so Mexican. But like, Ninja Turtle cards from the 7-Eleven for my brother. Yeah, no applause for theft. Okay. Yeah. What about you, Rob? You ever stolen anything?
I certainly don't.
Anything stolen?
I don't want to incriminate myself tonight on the radio and online. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that things have been stolen from me before.
Like what?
Like time.
Not time.
Has anybody ever been to a meeting that could have been an email? Oh, yeah. Then you know what I'm talking about.
What a sad that you're like, my time, like just crying in a corner.
You know what? I'm really excited because tonight's theme, Snatched, has so many different kind of like connotations, so many different interpretations. I think that's what we're going to see tonight, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything for somebody, and you know that we're a little loose with the theme, so it should be a fun time. But Snatched in general for this purposes are things that have been stolen from them or things that they have taken. So yeah.
Before I get rolling, Tori, is it okay if I ask, like, do we have any first-timers in the room? Raise your hand if you're a first-timer. Yeah, a few of you, wow.
Wow, you're mine now.
That is super cool to see. Well, okay, so...
I think I'm joking.
We've got some first-timers. Should we just get into this?
Yeah, let's go. We're doing it. Let's go. You guys ready or what?
Okay. So I'm going to need everybody to be on their best behavior, including you, Tori.
Uh-oh.
Because my mom is here.
Show off.
And my mom is going to be telling one of the stories tonight.
Yeah. In fact, some could say she's the first storyteller of the night. Liz Martinez is our first storyteller, I'm going to say it, of the night. Liz is going to share a story about the power found in rediscovering her beauty.
Let's give it up for my mom, Liz Martinez, y'all.
Hi. Happy to be here. I heard the topic was Snatched, so that's why I'm here. I have a beautiful story to share with you, and I hope you feel the same way. 6 years ago, picture me, have long blonde hair with highlights, and I was always dressed to the T. I always would walk at work. I was a bank professional, so I worked in a professional environment. So I would always come dressed to the T. I would walk into a room knowing that I was strong. Because being Hispanic, you want to walk into a room and know, like, I got these people. I got this meeting. So I would walk in very confident, knowing who I was. Not even 6 months later, I was diagnosed with leukemia. And my hair was my identity. That's who I was. That's why I was Liz. That's who I was. I was confident. So, I found out that I had leukemia. And it was one of the darkest moments in my life. In my family's life. A lot of my family's here today, and I want to say thank you for being here. But when I found out I had leukemia, it was like a big punch in my stomach. I mean, it was like, what do you mean? This can't happen to me. I'm Liz. I am a strong woman, and I believe so much in myself. But I also fought it in that manner. I tackled it in that manner. When they told me, okay, it's leukemia, I said, okay. Like I did projects, like the way I handled my work and my life. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? Tell me what it is. Tell me what I need to do to fix it. Because you just, I'm the type of person, that's the way I was raised. You tackle it head on and do not be afraid. So I started with the chemo. They said, sign me up. I'll do whatever I need to do. It was a trial. So I went through chemo. There was a chemo called the devil, and it literally was the devil, where you feel, because it was, since it was a blood cancer, they had to give me this chemo that was gonna burn. It burned from the inside out. It just, someone touching me, it was, and I was red. It looked like I had sunburn, but I had not even been out in the sun. It was one of the hardest moments. I remember my hair started falling out soon after that. A girlfriend came to visit me, and I remember sitting there, and I'm pulling my hair, well, I'm just rubbing my hair through my hands, and I see it coming out in clumps. And I don't know why I reached for an envelope, and I started putting my hair in my envelope. I don't know what I was saving it for. It was just, I was losing myself. My life was being snatched from me. And it started with my hair. Because, as women, our hair is our identity. We see ourselves in a certain manner. And then, soon enough, all my hair was gone. So I was falling out in clumps, and my sister came and she shaved my head because she didn't want to see me that way. She gave me a kiss. She said, "Sister, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine." So I battled the leukemia, and my friends and family would come to visit and would stay with me and share in my darkest moments with me. But you know what? My little brother who's here today, and my 3 brothers and my sister, they're my heroes. And my husband who took care of me through all those dark times. My brother, my youngest brother was chosen because he's the baby. He was chosen to be my bone marrow donor. And it saved my life. He saved my life. But my brothers have always been there throughout my whole life, being there as heroes. My sister came to bathe me in the hospital because I didn't trust the nurses. I wanted my sister to do it, so she did it. She took care of me. My husband, who was there every night, who never left my side. But because of their support and a lot of my friends' support who came to visit, I was able to survive. I'm happy to say that next month on October 3rd, my 2nd birthday, I'll be celebrating 5 years out from having leukemia. And one thing I have to share, while I was in the hospital, I had a friend from work, and I had my portrait from work, my professional portrait. And she brought it to me, and she told me, don't forget who you are, and never lose your Liz. So as cancer was trying to snatch my life from me, I grabbed it back, and I said, no, not today. So now I'm happy to say that I've been married 38 years, because that's something that I prayed for while I was sick. I said, God, please, I want to see my kids graduate. I want to see my kids get married. I want to be a grandma. And now I'm happy to say that my husband and I have been married 38 years, and we have 2 twin granddaughters, Dea and Lisette. Yes. So thank you again for listening to my story. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy and grateful for my husband and our family and friends that have supported me through this whole entire sickness. So don't lose your Liz. Don't lose your Liz. You stand in there and know that you're going to get through whatever it is that you're going through. Yeah.
more time for Liz. Let her hear it. She almost made me cry. How dare you?
Me too.
I was like, first one, get it together. Yeah. I saw you guys. You got emotional. All right, cool.
Okay. Our next storyteller, y'all, is Yvette Palafox. Yvette shares a story about how something she took became the reason for exposing the thing that was taken from her. Now, I want to say that this is a trigger warning here. This story contains references to sexual assault. So if you don't want to leave the room, please feel free to do that now.
Okay. Please welcome to the stage, Yvette Palafox.
All right.
First off, I'd like to dedicate this story to my mother's best friend, Belinda Gonzalez, who is a huge supporter of me. Although she's not mentioned in this story, she was always there, and she helped translate my mom to me a lot of times. God bless her. She's now in the heaven in the sky watching Bravo marathons 24/7. So it was a Saturday, 1990-something, and I was running late to meet up with my friends. I was stuck at my grandparents' house waiting for my grandfather to give me the money that he said he was going to give me. And I wanted my money, and he wasn't giving it to me. And you know what? Screw this. I'm running late. So I just went ahead and darted out of the house, and I went to go meet up with my friends. My friends were at the Hollywood video store right across from the street from the high school I went to, Churchill. The video store is where you could get these bricks, and you can either buy them or rent them, and that's what had movies on them back in the day. And Churchill back in the day was known as a snobby school. Like one of the football games was Gucci Bowl. In my yearbook, it said, "How do you know you're at Churchill?" Well, you know, because the student parking lot has way nicer cars than the teacher's lot. So you kind of get where I was going. So all my friends are there, and they had decided since I was late, it was my turn to get the video for that day. And the movie's going to be Reservoir Dogs. And the way that we get our movies is that we steal them. But it was Reservoir Dogs, so I said, worth it. It was my first time ever to try to steal because I'd never done it before. And so my boyfriend went in with me, and we found the video. He gave it to me. I put it in my bag, and we proceeded, walk around, and then starting to walk out. When we were walking out, he got that feeling, and he looks both side to side, and he looks at me, and he says, "Run." And he bolts out the door. I'm like 2 steps behind him going, and right when I hit that door, I just feel a grab, and I'm yanked back. And I'm on my back, and I have these 2 video clerks that just grab my backpack, snatch the video out of my bag, and they just proceed to do a victory dance over me saying, "We got you, we got you. Finally, we got you." They were so happy because, like I said, we've been doing this for a few Saturdays, and they were onto us. So they dragged me to the back office, and they locked me in there. But one of the ladies wasn't done with her victory. She decided to do a victory speech. And she decided to go ahead and start telling me how I was so wrong because I was a spoiled brat that went to Churchill High School. And why didn't I have daddy's money? Daddy's money could buy this because I go there. And I don't know what work is. And I don't know what responsibility is. And she works at a video store trying to make her money for her apartment. And she has a kid and, she knows work, she knows life, she knows responsibilities. And who am I but just a girl that goes to Churchill trying to steal from her and ruin her day? But the thing is, though, I had a worse day, and I didn't want to hear it anymore. So I looked her straight in the eyes, and I said, "Shut the fuck up. You need to shut up. You think what work is? You know what I was doing earlier for money? I was holding my grandfather's testicles in my hands while he touched my buds to see how much they're growing in. That's how I was getting paid at that time. But I didn't get paid that day. So you think your work is hard? No, it's not. And you know what my responsibility is? My responsibility is to keep this a secret. Because if I don't keep the secret, I'm not taking one for the team anymore. And all the family traditions and all the holidays would be done with. So if you think your life is hard, and you think just because I go to Churchill, nah, fuck you. You don't know me. Shut up. She got very quiet and she started walking away. I saw a little tear. I was like, yeah, that's right. Be quiet. And so when the cops came and it was time for me to get arrested, they took me, but we didn't go to the juvie. I went to the sex crimes where they started asking me a bunch of questions. And then my parents were there. And then they all looked at me and said, do you want to press charges? Well, the thing is, though, my parents had just come from doing funeral arrangements for my mom's mom, who just passed away earlier that week. So I didn't want to put them through that because I felt like, they've already been through enough. So I said no. And that's when the confusion came in. The confusion, because I thought I was going to get a victory party. Like, you were taking one for the team, doing this for the family. Like, thank you so much. But what I got was half the family mad at me because they thought I caused it. A quarter of the family that knew I didn't cause it, but just it's better to stay away, And I was mad at my mom because when I was 12, when we had that talk, why didn't she tell me, she asked, no man can do this to you. She's like, don't let anybody do this. Not your brothers, not your cousins, da-da-da. She even mentioned our male pet, Alvin the dog, but she didn't mention Grandpa. So in my mind, Grandpa was above the law. So that's why I had to keep that secret. And I didn't know my value. The confusion was real. But as time passed, I got the adult thinking and, I started to see it a different way. And that confusion and that cloudiness, it went away. And I know my value now is priceless. I know that my mom, it wasn't her fault. It was just a slip, and I shouldn't have blamed her. She didn't do it on purpose, because for so many years, I thought she did. And I also know what love is, and I also know that it wasn't my responsibility. That was to keep the traditions together. It was my grandfather's responsibility to keep his hands off of me so we could have our family and traditions. And the last thing that I learned is that you can stream Reservoir Dogs for free now. Thank you.
I'd like to just say that if you or someone that you know needs help, please contact the National Sexual Assault telephone hotline at 800-656-HOPE, and that's 4673.
Can you guys give it up one more time for Yvette? That was super brave. That takes a lot. That is a damn good movie. It's a good movie, yeah. It's great. So great. That's the show. Just walk away. No, you're fine. Emotions? Never again. Go. You're fine. Go. You're fine. Oh, I love you guys. Well, some of you. We're gonna keep going because I got more stuff for you. Our next storyteller is Becky Blake. Becky shares a story about the things you notice when your life suddenly changes.
Let's give it up for Becky, y'all.
Barcelona is my favorite city. Maybe some of you guys have been there? Anyone? For those of you who haven't, I can just tell you it's a really magical place. It's a city that's sort of in between the Mediterranean Sea and the Pyrenees Mountains, and it's full of good food and good art and good people. So the first time I went there, I was in my 20s, and as soon as I landed, I just had this weird sense that I was home. And more recently, a psychic told me that several of my past lives have been lived in Barcelona and that all of my greatest loves have been there. So I don't actually believe in past lives, but I do think this is an excellent way to describe how I feel about Barcelona, that it's a place where I have really deep history. So I was super excited. In 2008, I had the opportunity to move to Barcelona with my fiance. He was European, and we've been living for a couple of years together in Toronto, where I'm from. And for us to move to Spain, we were going to have to get married. That was no big deal. We were already engaged. We'd just have a quick ceremony when we got there. So he went on ahead to start his new job and find a new apartment for us. And I stayed in Toronto for a month to sort of get rid of our old apartment and quit my job and pack, say goodbye to everybody. My fiance warned me that the apartment that he had found for us was in kind of a bad neighborhood. But when I got there, I immediately understood why he'd taken it anyway, because the place was really, really cute. Each of the main rooms had one of those like little wrought iron balconies that's like called a Juliet balcony, like from Romeo and Juliet. So it was super romantic. But I also felt like something was a bit off about the apartment, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. There was this sort of eggy smell coming from the drains. Maybe it was that, or someone had left an old piano and I opened it and it had this jangly kind of creepy sound when I played it. But I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, I had a big spider bite on my face. And my fiance didn't seem to care about this at all. And that's when I realized that it wasn't the apartment that seemed off, it was him. So I said to him, I was like, hey, is something wrong? What's going on? And he said, I just didn't miss you when you weren't here. So yeah, ouch. I'm going to spare you the details of the conversation that followed that statement, but suffice it to say it was awful, and there was yelling, and we broke up. And when we did, it just felt like he had taken something from me that was super valuable and run off with it, like a purse that had my favorite city in it, and my livelihood, and a bunch of my ID. So without us getting married, I could only stay in Barcelona for 90 days. I thought about going home, but I was like, no, I'm just going to stay here, rent a temporary room and just see what's up, And it turned out that what was up was mainly me walking around crying behind my sunglasses. But, I was obviously sad about the breakup. But what was even almost worse was that Barcelona had completely changed for me. Like, it had turned into a place that was kind of gray, and everywhere I looked, there just seemed to be sad people. And it was weird. It was like people I hadn't seen before, and they were suddenly everywhere. And this phenomenon was especially apparent in my old neighborhood. So whenever I'd walk through, there was this one particular bench, and every single day there was somebody, a different person, sitting there crying. And I was just like, what is this? This is almost supernatural, It was like this bench is positioned over some kind of vortex that's like sucks people down into this sad zone. But one day I was walking by and I heard a woman sobbing on her phone, and she was talking about the fact that she'd just been robbed by a pickpocket. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get what's going on. People are sitting here after they get robbed. And also, wow, there must be a lot of pickpockets in this neighborhood. And in that moment, this total obsession was born. And I just felt compelled to talk to one of these pickpockets. So I started walking around with my purse open, and I had like a decoy wallet inside. And I was just hoping that, somebody would rob me and I might catch them and we'd be able to have a conversation. I really, really wanted to ask them, why did you become a pickpocket? And what does it feel like to take things from people? And how do you live with yourself afterwards? These are the kind of questions that were like burning into my brain. So I walked around for a few days with the purse open, and unfortunately I didn't get robbed. But someone that knew I was doing this said, hey, did you know there's a rehabilitation center in this neighborhood where thieves can go if they want to change trades and they can like learn a new skill? And so I went there and I said, hey, I'm a writer. Is there any way I could maybe talk to some of the people, who are going to school here? And a few very kind folks agreed to speak to me. And very quickly in these conversations, I realized that my initial questions about, motivations for becoming a pickpocket were really naive. Most people who are pickpockets need to be pickpockets. It's a survival thing. They need money for food or for, take care of their kids or their families. And where the conversations got really interesting, though, was afterwards when they started telling me about how they robbed people. And some of them even felt kind of like they were kind of proud of the methods they'd come up with. And in Barcelona, the theft isn't usually violent, but the thieves kind of rely on distraction, and they almost always work in pairs. So I'll give you an example. Like, you might be walking down the Rambla, and somebody's coming towards you with an ice cream cone, and they like bang into you by mistake, and then they're helping you clean it up, and while they're doing that, somebody's picking your pocket. So that's one example of probably 100 that I learned. And I learned lots of ways not to get robbed in Barcelona. But what I didn't learn was why my fiance had just dumped me out of the blue. And, not knowing that, it was really hard to get over. Eventually, I found out what happened. It took years. I found out that there had been another woman in Barcelona, which, of course, thieves almost always work in pairs. But in the time that before I knew that, I was really, really struggling. And, my 90 days and my time were almost up. And I went back to Canada and I got a new job that let me work remotely. So I went back to Barcelona many, many times, and I was just searching for answers, trying to figure out, how can I, what's the point of doing stuff if everything can be taken from you in a second, everything that really matters. And luckily, eventually, I did figure that out, and I got to know Barcelona in a whole new way. I sort of let go of those Juliet balconies, and Romeo and Juliet really doesn't end well anyway. So, I've got some good news to share, which is that this past year, I actually got married to an amazing guy who lives here. So that happened, and that's pretty good. But I do have to say that I've never been quite as trusting as I was before I moved to Barcelona, because anytime that anyone gets close to me, I just remember these words that one of the thieves said to me. He said, if you want to be safe, just remember, anyone who touches you is trying to rob you. Thank you.
Wow, what a story, huh?
Dude, thieves work in pairs. All relationships. Just kidding. I just started okay. Wow.
All right. So I will say this, that if somebody else's phone goes off during another story, someone's going to snatch you out of this audience. So make sure your phone's on silent, okay?
Or take your medicine, whatever that was. It seemed like a medicine alert.
Okay, so our next storyteller is Bella Ivy. And Bella's going to share a story about a social media theft that left her feeling a little exposed.
Please put your hands together for Bella Ivy.
So, 7 years ago, I was at a family dinner, ending a really fun day, or so I thought. I get a notification on my phone that I got a new follower on Instagram. And typically that's a good thing, right? That's something you're really excited for. I didn't recognize the name. So we're saying our goodbyes. I open it up to take a look. And again, didn't recognize the name. But I most definitely recognized the profile picture because it was my naked body. Yeah. Thank God no face, though. It was just the body. And I recognized it because I have tattoos. And so I was like, yeah, that's me. Almost instantly, too, my best friend calls me. She's like, hey. I'm like, yeah. And she recognized it also because we have a matching tattoo. So she said, for a split second, I thought it was me. I'm like, well, lucky it's not. And at this family dinner, I'm with my then boyfriend. Let's call him Ryan. Ryan wasn't the most empathetic guy. So I'm like, we need to get out of here. He sees the shock on my face. And he's like, what's going on? I was like, let's get in the car. I got to talk to you. So I tell him what's going on. And he's irate. So he's like, what is happening? And the really only person that can be behind this, or at least know about it, is my ex. These pictures were taken around the time of him. And let's call him Lance. And Lance was dating someone at the time named Marie. So that's really the only person it could have been. So he's like, you need to reach out to his mom because that's the only person I kind of kept in contact with. No, I hadn't been with Lance in over 2.5 years. So I had to reach out to his mom, Lucy. And that was a great call, right? 2.5 years later, I'm just like, hey, Lucy, can you ask your son about these naked pictures of me? And she's like, sure, of course. And so we hang up. She goes to ask. She texts me back, hey, neither of them know anything about it. Okay. So there was some urgency to try and get this profile taken down, obviously. And more so, too, because the following count kept going up, 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 and up with my friends and family. Yeah, so that was fun. So we get it taken down. I have a lot of my friends reaching out to me because this profile is also now pretending to be me. Messaging them saying, hey, this is me, look at me. And I'm like, it's not. But I have a lot of great friends and family who reported it instantly. And it got taken down. So I had to have some hard conversations, especially asking people to help take it down. One of them was with my dad. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, Dad, I'm not trying to, get into Sports Illustrated. I'm really sorry. But he was a good sport about it. Thank God. Another hard conversation I had to have was with my boss. I was a brand new nurse at the time, and they scared us shitless about losing our job because of social media. But he guaranteed me, regardless if I see these pictures, you still got a job. I was like, awesome, thanks. So yeah, the profile got taken down, and I thought everything was great, good to go. Another one came up a couple weeks later. Thankfully, that one got taken down pretty fast. And then, so with that, Ryan made me delete all of my social media. So I was really bored for a couple weeks. And nothing else happened. But then I did get a text from like one of those disguised numbers. And it said, deleting your social media isn't going to keep me from exposing your hoe ass. Oof, okay. Hostile. So, Ryan's pretty irate. And he's like, you need to file a police report because this is a crime. And it was. So he made me also change my number too. We filed a police report. A cop came to my apartment to take a statement. And he made me verbatim say what the text said. So that was fun telling a cop that. And he smirked the entire time. But he did say, hey, I do have to send this to Vice because it is a felony. How embarrassing. So nothing ever really comes legally, any resolution. However, there was some karmic resolution because Ryan and I's relationship crumbled because of that. He said he felt like he got cheated on because of all of this. And I'm like, okay, buddy, this happened to me. But so we broke up. And actually, Lance and Marie broke up too. And a big reason why was because Lance told me, because we ended up getting back together. He told me that moment that his mom, Lucy, went upstairs and knocked on the door and said, hey, what's going on about this? That after that, he just couldn't stop thinking about me. So, and he was like, I knew it was her the second she came and asked me about it. He's like, this bitch is crazy. So, yeah, she may have tried to steal my dignity and my identity, but I ended up just stealing her boyfriend. That's how.
Keep it going for Bella, please. Keep it going for Bella.
Next storyteller is Dallas Vann. Dallas has been on the program before, so I had to get him back after I heard this story, and he was like yelling it at me. He's my friend. I like him. Dallas is going to share a story about a family trip to Mexico that didn't go exactly as planned.
I'm looking for Dallas. Dallas, where are you? Dallas Vann. Dallas Vann, are you here?
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
So, I've gotten in a lot of trouble in my life. I try to stay out of it, but I'm not doing a very good job. One time I got a speeding ticket, right? I missed my court date. Court date was on a Thursday. I get a call from the sheriff's department letting me know I have a warrant out for my arrest. So I tell him I'll be in first thing in the morning. Come in Friday morning. Judge gives me the whole talk, lets me know, hey, I could put you in jail right now. There's warrant out for your arrest. You know how big of a deal this is? Yes, sir. He goes, all right, well, you came in on your own will, so I'm going to clear the warrant, all right? That's what I thought happened. That's what he said had happened. And I don't know at what point or at where, but somebody didn't do their job. So fast forward months, probably 6 to 8 months later, I'm going on a big trip to Mexico with all of my family, okay? If you know anything about Mexican families, there's a lot of them. It's all my aunts, all my uncles, all right, all my cousins, my grandma, who at the time is 95 years old. She just turned 100. She's still here. So I'm there with all my family and go through security. They scan my passport. You know, I get the green light, get to go on through. So I'm walking, whole family goes to Terminal 1. Me, my mom, and my aunt go to get something to eat. It's early in the morning. My mom goes to the desk for a little while and comes back. She goes, hey, guess what? I asked them if we could upgrade to first class. Never been on first class. That seems exciting. She said, yeah, just listen for your name. I'm like, all right, awesome. So we're eating, all of a sudden, Dallas Vann to Terminal 1. Dallas Vann to Terminal 1. It happened, you guys. We all look at each other. We're pumped, all right? I tell them, y'all guys go ahead and box this up. I'll eat it in first class. So I get up, I walk out, and an officer stops me, and he goes, is your name Dallas Vann? Now, backstory. A number of years ago, my uncle was a very high-ranking sheriff detective in San Antonio, and he was killed in the line of duty. It was a big case. They thought it was a cartel hit. It was random. It was just a guy who didn't like cops, pulled up next to a cop over off Rigsby, put an AR-15 out the window, unloaded a clip, drove off. It's completely random. But it was a huge court case in San Antonio. I think the cop recognizes me from the case. I'm like, yeah, my name is Dallas Vann. What's up? He goes, don't put your hands in your pockets. I'm like, that's odd. Next thing I know, I'm slammed up against the wall. I have every TSA agent all of a sudden all around me. They slam me on the ground, knee to my back. I look up. My 95-year-old Mexican grandma is on the ground screaming and crying like a novella. Ay, Dios mío! All my aunts are holier. My cousins think it's just me being me again. So like, I guess Dallas did something. So I tell the guys, I don't know what's going on, but I probably did it. Get me up and take me to the back. Let's get out of here. Let's go. They take me to the back. I don't know if you've ever been searched, but I guarantee you've never been searched like I was searched by TSA. He had something to prove. They take me to the back and they're all talking. I don't know what's going on. I'm in handcuffs. I hear him talking, and one guy turns to another guy. He goes, all right, let's bring him back here where there's no cameras. I go, whatever you can do right in front of the cameras, man. And he gets quiet and leans in. He goes, you're not going to want this on film. They take me to a room, proceed to put on, it was the longest snap of a glove I've ever heard in my life. Snap the glove, pull my pants open. He puts his hand and finger up the crack, back down to my junk, and begins to shake ever so violently. Sister, me and you both want to know to this day. I kept telling him, I was like, oh, I just went through your security. If you didn't find anything then, you're not going to find anything now, dude, okay? So they shake me up, and they get me back. And the officer that had been the first one asked me if my name was Dallas. He feels bad because he can see in the computer that I have a warrant for a traffic ticket, but he knows something's up. So we're driving. I'm trying to tell him, I don't know what this is about. I think somebody messed up. He feels bad for me. And before we pull into the jail, he gives me my phone. I get to make one phone call, which you know is a big deal. I call my dad. My dad is already at the police department. And he's waiting there with my uncle, one of the men that was there. Here's the thing, backstory. My uncle does not like me. Some would say he hates me. Now, He has good reason. I was not a good kid growing up. Might have stole a couple bucks from him. I'm sorry. But he is a retired pilot from United, 30 years. He's a Vietnam helicopter pilot. So he tells the rest of the family, y'all guys, don't worry. Go on the trip. I'll stay behind with Richard, my dad, and I'll figure this out. So I'm going into the jail. And if you know anything about jail, it takes a long time to get in and out. Cops have me back there. I hear one cop telling another cop, you know he's coming out of Austin. Hey, you know we can extradite you to Austin, right? You know that takes 10 days? Shit. Okay. And as they're all standing around laughing about me staying there, one of them goes, Vann. Like Kenneth Vann? You know Officer Vann? I go, yeah, that was my uncle. And he happened to be their leader and one of their most beloved officers. So they all changed their tune real quick. They go, hey, man, we see something's wrong. Don't worry. We'll get you out of here. They put me in a cell by myself. I was in and out of jail in 6 hours, which is insane. Go stay at my dad's house, stay overnight. My uncle comes to pick me up, 5 o'clock in the morning. We go back to the airport. I'm sitting there trying to get a ticket. It's going to be $600 to get on a flight to Mexico City. It's New Year's Eve. I have to be there that night. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to borrow money. I'm already poor. And a guy just walks up, and he's wearing United outfit, and he says, hey, you were that kid who was here yesterday, right? Yeah, we all saw what happened. And we explained to him what happened. And the guy goes, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. Does some stuff, work something. Next thing I know, I'm in first class. First class, all the way to Mexico City. Me and my uncle end up having a 3-hour conversation we would have never had. Now we're friends, I guess. Get to Mexico City, walk into the house, and there are 30 Mexican women waiting with tequila and tacos, crying, freaking out, and we all celebrated that night. One of the biggest celebrations we've ever had in our life. It was amazing. Downside, every time I go to Mexico and come back, I'm now on a TSA watch list. So, it is hard to get in and out of the country. But if I call Washington, D.C., apparently I can clear my name. My name's Alice. Thank you guys so much.
Man, that glove snap.
Hey, Tori. Have you ever disappointed your family before?
Always.
We'll get into that on another orthopedic.
Yeah. No, you guys will never know. Wow, didn't Dallas do a good job getting arrested?
Applause, y'all.
We're glad he's back. Look at his hair. It's so nice. All right. I can do that. I'm his friend. Our next storyteller is Jessica Betancourt. Jessica's going to share a story about how we sometimes forget who we are, but it's never too late to find ourselves again.
Let's give it up for Jessica.
All right. Okay, bestie. So I'm from San Antonio, but I left as soon as I could, right? And I moved up to North Texas, and I was teaching reading and writing, 7th grade, middle school, during the global pandemic, right? That's so hot. And it was year 2 pandemic where the kids were wearing their masks, like on their chins, like the little goatees, you know? And I'm teaching Langston Hughes, which is really important, right? But there was this kid, and he would always just like airlift his hand like this. And when he did that, he was telling me, I'm going to ask a question, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So he did just that. And he said, Miss, what did you want to be when you were younger? And I'm kind of, thinking, okay, in all my years of teaching, no one has ever asked me that. Shame on them. Why didn't they care about what I wanted to do? But I'm normally a private gal, but I decided, you know what? I'll share. So I respond, a singer and a fashion stylist in that particular order. And then it gets really quiet. And I swear in unison, the kids go, "But miss, you can still do it." I was like, my mask goes down. I'm like, "What, me? Like, oh my God. Okay, get back to work." Later that day, I go home. It's probably 9 p.m. because us teachers, like, we're there all day, right? And it's like 9 p.m. and that's when you have to vacate the building. But then you take your laptop home and you actually keep working and doing lesson plans. We know the drill. So I decide to stop and I go to my closet and I start looking around and I'm like, where's all the fashion? What happened here? Where was that little girl that used to like dress up the night before in middle school and would really come up with cute little thrifted fits, right? Where'd she go? So then I started thinking, okay, bestie, there was this guy, okay? And he looked like Mario Lopez, okay? And a young Jess really had a thing for AC Slater. Okay? Alfred Clifford Slater, okay? And he was working on his PhD, which for me means pretty hot. Damn. Like, oh my God. And so I get dressed up because we're going on a little date and I'm a Virgo and Peridot's my color, so I wear green, right? Not many people wear green. And I wear my beautiful little green dress and I think I look so cute and I'm sitting there and I can tell he's gonna tell me something. And then all of a sudden he says, "Jessiquita." That's what he called me. I don't know how to tell you this, but when you wear those bright colors and all those patterns, it takes away a lot of attention. Like people, I don't know, I just don't like all the attention. Could you stop doing that? I know, right? And I know what you're thinking, like, I'm gonna elbow the water and it's gonna cascade and fall on his lap. And then I'm gonna be like, "Oops, sorry. Oh, I have a puppy dog who needs food. I gotta go bite." And then I leave him, right? But that's not what happened, you see? So I respond to the guy who talks to me about particle physics and the Higgs boson. I say, "Listen, yeah, you're right. Like, absolutely, ew, why do I wear these clothes?" So I go home that night and start compiling the best donation of clothes in a trash bag and start to put that part of myself away, right? So, wow. So then fast forward, I'm like, okay, I'm a teacher. I'm doing my teaching thing. What's up with all this beige? What's up with all this like non-pattern stuff, whatever. But there's this thing called teacher tired for my teachers in the room. And it's this thing where like, okay, like you go home and you're tired and you're in a vampiric state and you may or may not eat that night because eating actually requires a lot of energy. If someone could spoon feed or IV you, you're good, right? But for me, the drawing point was actually when I was at a doctor's appointment. And all of a sudden, they start saying, "Jessica, Jessica, Jessica, Jessica," and I am non-responsive, y'all. I didn't know. "Oh, you're talking to me, right? Oh, that's me." And I realized, oh, us teachers will only call each other by our last name, right? You're either like Rodriguez, Gonzalez, or Clark. It's very militaristic. Okay? And I was like, "Oh, you're talking to me, right?" Oh, I was like, "You know what, Jess? I think there's time for a change, right? You don't have a lot of friends, and the friends that you do have, you have no energy to even spend time with them. There needs to be a little change here." So I decided to leave North Texas and come back to my hometown of San Antonio and make a big change. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to try new things. I'm going to do new things. I'm going to wear all the stuff that I wanted to wear. And I'm going to make friends. And I think some of them are in this audience. Like, and that's what I did. And it's been such a cool experience. But the thing that I want to share is growing up, one of my beloved elders, she meant well, right? She was an elder. She used to tell me, "If you're fat, mija, no one will love you," right? And so I hear that, right? And so I used to have that on repeat in my head all my life. So when this guy who looked like Mario Lopez told me to get rid of my clothes, I was like, yes, he's doing me a favor by loving me. So I will do anything it takes to earn his love, right? So with that said, now I am a self-proclaimed fashion stylist, right? Yeah. And I choose to steal the spotlight. And I live out loud, and I'm a firm believer that fashion is so incredibly magical. And don't let anyone snatch, see what I did there? Your creativity from you, because it is your soul and spirit. And so I just have one thing to ask you, besties, before I go. What did you want to be when you were younger?
Wow.
Dude, Mario Lopez isn't even that hot. Okay, like, honestly, the greasy hair, like, oh, like, what was in his hair? Why was it always wet? Sorry. Zach forever. Say what about? Okay. Oh, screech. Okay.
Are we here at the end?
Oh my God, we're at the end. Are you guys sad?
One more storyteller.
Okay, calm down.
Come back to the next one. Next one.
I got 7 more next time, October. Okay, I'm so excited. Our final storyteller of the night is Aaron Cheatham. I've known Aaron for a little while, and he's doing me a solid by traveling to share this story. He's going to share a story about a late night drive home and how he was unexpectedly detained.
Super funny dude. Let's give it up for Aaron, y'all.
So January 2023, I'm here in San Antonio performing at Upstage Comedy Lounge. I was doing 2 shows. It was a weekend thing, Friday night, Saturday night. After the Friday night shows, I'm heading back home to Austin, and I get pulled over at 1:30 in the morning in the Arby's parking lot. Which is an omen, right? Like nothing good has ever happened in an Arby's parking lot, right? I get pulled over in New Braunfels. If you don't know anything about New Braunfels, just think small town Texas, all right? 1:30 in the morning. I wasn't speeding, wasn't driving erratically, don't know why I'm being pulled over. But let's just say I was shook, all right? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but black people and cops don't really, you know? Like black people and cops is like kids and vegetables. Like we just don't. I was shook. The cop comes to the window, and he's a young cop. So immediately I'm thinking, I got a chance here. First thing he says is, can I get you to step out of the car? Oh shit, this escalated quickly. I get out the car. He's at the back of my car. He says, sir, can I get you to step to my vehicle? Look, the closer you get to their car, the further you are to going home. I was scared. Doesn't ask me for my license. Doesn't tell me why he's pulled me over. First thing he says is, where are you coming from? I said, oh, I'm a comedian. I was doing a show in San Antonio. I'm just driving home to Austin. He goes, oh, you're a comedian, huh? Well, I love comedy. In fact, some nights when it's slow, I just sit here and I watch comedy specials all night long. And in that moment, I thought to myself, whatever I gotta say to this man so that my face ain't on the front of a t-shirt, I'm finna do that tonight. Oh, I gave him all the good stuff. We had a blast in that parking lot. I gave him all the good stuff. Knock, knock, who's there? Michael Jackson. I gave him all the gold. Like, we're having a good conversation, like to the point that I forgot I was sitting in a parking lot talking to a cop. We're just having a great conversation. I lit all my guards down, my walls were lit down. This bike flies by doing like 100 miles an hour on 35. And I was like, whoo, I'm glad I'm here with you, right? Like, whatever I got to do to go home, I'm saying to him. He was all, oh, that dude's been doing this all week. Because I thought he was going to go and I could, he was like, ah, tell me more jokes. We're sitting there having a great conversation. And then out of nowhere, he says to me, hey, man, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to jail before? The betrayal. We were having such a great time. What is this? He says, no, I ain't never been to jail before. I've been to court. I ain't never been to jail. I've been to court, though. I've been to court. He goes, oh, you've been to court? Okay, that's cool. I got one more question. I'm going to let you out of here. I say, okay. He goes, do you have anything illegal in the vehicle? And I paused. Like I paused too long to now lie. You know what I'm talking about? Right, there's that long gap in the, yeah. Because here's what happened. When I left the show, another comic met me in the park and I go, hey, great job tonight. You smoke? I go, yeah. He go, hold on a second. And reached in the pocket and broke off a little bit of weed and put it in my hand. So this is like pocket weed, right? This pocket, he put, like not even in a wrapper. This is raw pocket weed. And he put it in my hand. And then I put it in a napkin. And then I put it in the middle console. And I forgot all about it until he asked me that question. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a self-realization in real time in front of somebody, but it looks guilty as fuck every time. Yeah, man, I got a little bit of weed. There's a little bit of weed in my car. He goes, how much you talking? We got an ounce, 2 ounces? How much you got? I go, no. No, it's a little bit of weed. Somebody broke off, put it in my hand. I put it in a napkin. It's in the middle console. You can go get it right now, sir. It's in there. He goes, I appreciate you being honest with me, but nobody gives a fuck about weed. What are we doing? He goes, but since you were honest with me, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna call my partner up. He's gonna hang out with you. While he hangs out with you, I'm gonna check the car, and if all I find is that little bit of weed, we're gonna be okay. I go, there's a pipe too. I tried to hide it under the seat. There's a pipe. Whatever I gotta say to go home. So he calls his partner up, and I'm sitting there on the side of the road, and I'm just thinking, what did I do? Like now I'm about to get a possession charge. What about, like, my wife's gonna be up my ass about this? Like, who's gonna tell the people about the show tomorrow? I'm going to jail for this little bit of pocket weed. I'm freaking out. And his partner pulls up, and this dude comes up in like the full SWAT SUV, right? He gets out the car. He looks like he's cosplaying for January 6th. Like, you know who I'm talking about, right? Like, it's bulletproof vest, wolfskin hat, the whole thing. He was there. He gets out the car. What's the situation? Oh, he's got a little bit of weed. I'm gonna go check it out. Nobody cares about weed. That's what I'm saying, sir. Can I go home? And he leaves me with this dude, and he goes and he checks the car, and he comes back, and he's got the napkin, and he's laughing. And he opens up the napkin, and he shows the other cop, and he's, man, what is this? Where you even get this? I go, I told him already. I got it from the show. Somebody put it in my hand, and I put it in a napkin, then I put it in the middle console, and then I told him about it, and now you got it, sir. That's your weed. You got the weed now, sir. That's not even my weed no more. Possession 9/10 of the law. That's your weed, sir. That's not even my weed no more. And they laughed in my face. And then the first cop says, man, get the fuck out of here. I said, I can leave? He goes, yeah, you can take off, man. Consider it a warning. Heart. I get in the car, get back on I-35 and start driving off. And as I get on the highway, I open the middle console and I look down and I saw that the pipe that was under the seat was now in the middle console and it was loaded. Then it dawned on me. Like, I've been robbed before. But by the cops? What the Even a great experience with the police in Texas still ends with you getting screwed. I don't understand this. That's my story, guys. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Pocket weed.